I know Emily's with you. Where are you going?
The wide selection of Netflix thrillers may be daunting when you decide on your next film.
Who's this?
It's me.
No, it was me.
These low-key film picks may make the process a bit easier. Gerald's Game. Based on Stephen King's 1992 novel, long considered to be incapable of film adaptation, Gerald's Game expertly taps into elements of psychological horror. All the while, the majority of the movie's events take place within a single room. Married couple Jesse and Gerald Burlingame decide to partake in some intimate foreplay at an isolated lake house. It takes a turn for the worse when Gerald suffers a heart attack and dies.
We were happy once, weren't we?
Gerald?
What? What's happening?
Gerald!
While Jesse is left handcuffed to the bed, succumbing to her mental delusions.
Back off!
A nightmarish and suspenseful story, the film ultimately succeeds due to a noteworthy leading performance from Carla Gugino. I don't feel at home in this world anymore. Thriller fanatics looking for a more comedic approach to the film genre will likely enjoy the quirks of I don't feel at home in this world anymore.
I'm not letting you shoot anyone. Anyone else.
Depressed and middle-aged Ruth Kimke arrives home to a burglarized house and decides to take matters into her own hands, tracking down the stolen belongings, assisted by her eccentric neighbor, Tony.
My house got robbed.
What did they take?
My grandma's silver.
While the momentum earlier in the film lends itself more to precise character development, unraveling events lead the central characters into increasingly dangerous predicaments in a deeply satisfying yet offbeat story. The Killing of a Sacred Deer. An irrelevant blend of psychological horror and thriller from A24, The Killing of a Sacred Deer serves as the modern interpolation of the ancient Greek tragedy, Iphigenia in Aulis. Written by playwright Euripides sometime between 408 and 406 BC.
Did his father die?
A surgeon never kills a patient. An anesthesiologist can kill a patient, but a surgeon never can.
Cardiac surgeon Stephen Murphy has befriended and regularly meets with teenager Martin Lang, unbeknownst to Stephen's wife and children. And their continued interactions cause Stephen's immediate family members to progressively fall ill without any explanation.
Don't be scared, Mom. You'll see. You won't be able to move either. But you'll get used to it.
The bizarre personalities of the central characters and their unusual, robust lines of dialogue.
Yeah,
I'm really sorry about Bod.
It's nothing serious.
No, it is.
Are seemingly characteristic of director Yorgos Lanthimos' works, and their idiosyncratic decisions arguably make even the most mundane actions appear truly unsettling. I'm thinking of ending things. The latest work from well-known writer and director Charlie Kaufman, psychological thriller I'm Thinking of Ending Things explores Kaufman's usual themes of human nature and identity.
I'm thinking of ending things.
Huh?
What?
Did you say something?
I don't think so.
Weird.
Adapted from author Ian Reid's 2016 novel of the same name, audiences are introduced to a young woman on a trip with her boyfriend Jake to meet his parents for the first time at their isolated farm. As their film's unfolding narrative depicts the young woman questioning her understanding of Jake and her own existence.
Who's this?
It's me.
No, it was me.
Scenes of a janitor working at high school are interwoven throughout, arguably a thriller in the more complex and metaphysical sense.
Excuse me?
You don't have to go
I don't have to go where?
forward.
I'm Thinking of Anything rewards those who appreciate Kaufman's surrealist approach and can dive into this emotional piece with an open mind. Good time. Before audiences were exposed to the Safdie brothers' critically acclaimed Uncut Gems, the sibling filmmaker duo was perhaps recognized for their lesser-known crime driller, Good Time.
So I told you about my brother, yeah? Something happened. I don't know exactly what. He's been arrested. He's being held at Rikers Island.
Love?
Set in Queens, New York, criminal Connie removes his developmentally disabled brother Nick from his court-orderly therapy sessions and brings him along to rob a New York City bank. Once Nick is caught and arrested by police, Connie quickly sets off to secure an extra $10,000 so he can post his brother's bail and have him released from Rikers Island. High stress and anxiety-inducing, this top-notch heist thriller is expertly rounded out by visually appealing and gritty cinematography, a dark and ominous musical score from electronic musician Monotrix Point Never, and an adrenaline-fueled career best performance from Robert Pattinson. The Clove Hitch Killer. Elements of family dynamics combined with a coming-of-age approach ultimately define The Clove Hitch Killer as an effective horror thriller, primarily based on the life of serial killer Dennis Rader, infamously known as the BTK Killer. The film follows 16-year-old Tyler Burnside, who lives with his family in Clarksville, Kentucky, where the infamous Cloveville Kitcher seemingly disappeared from 10 years prior after killing 10 female victims. While borrowing his father Don's truck one night, he discovers a BDSM-related photograph between the seats and begins to suspect whether Don has any connection to the killer.
Official victims. No fingerprints, no blood. Just a clove hitch tied to every victim's house.
With a strong, tension-building narrative without reliance on typical horror types.
I'm meaning to talk to you. You know we're made in God's image. But men like you and me, we got thoughts.
The Clove Hitch Killer successfully establishes a sinister atmosphere that is continuously amplified up until its satisfying closure. Paranormal Activity. Admittedly more recognizable than the other entries on this list, the inclusion of Paranormal Activity in Netflix's array of movies 15 years later allows a younger generation to stream the horror thriller classic. A frightening independent feature shot with just a $15,000 budget.
Did you hear that? Oh my god.
There's footsteps in, but there's no footsteps
A
out.
young couple believe they are haunted by a supernatural demon after they move into a suburban home. They set up a camera to try to record any occurrences during the night. Applying found footage horror movie conventions widely popularized in the early films such as The Blair Witch Project. This is an effectively terrifying and unnerving movie that benefits from the omission of fast-paced horror elements and flashy special effects in favor of an intense focus on a single setting. It should be noted that this may not be an ideal pick for casual audiences. Buster's Mall Hard. Audiences searching for a niche trailer with elements of mystery may find the surrealist Buster's Mall Heart to be a satisfying, albeit unusual watch. Starring Mr. Robot and Bohemian Rhapsody actor Rami Malek as Jonah, later referred to by the nickname Buster, this somewhat non-linear story illustrates 3 different points in time, beginning with a bearded Jonah in present day fleeing from authorities on a snowy mountain range. Glimpses into the earliest memories depict him as a family man, pining for a secluded lifestyle in a remote environment, and cuts to a midpoint revealing his character on a boat in the middle of the ocean. While the transitions between these timelines create a complex story, the emotional buildup remains consistent throughout, and skillfully untangles the narrative thread surrounding Jonah's transformation. The Guilty. A suspenseful thriller, at times, is most effective when intense visuals are omitted in favor of pressure cooking situations, in a single setting.
Is there someone with you?
Uh-huh.
Does the person you with know you called us?
No.
Who do they think you called? Your child?
Yes, sweetie.
Does the person you're with have a weapon?
This is the case for the recently released crime thriller, The Guilty, serving as a remake of the 2018 Danish film of the same name, and with a screenplay by True Detective creator Nick Pizzolatto. The story follows demoted police officer Joe Baylor, working the night shift at a 911 call center, when Joe receives a call from a woman claiming to have been abducted.
I know Emily is with you. Where are you going?
The narrative pacing accelerates as he focuses on handling the emergency situation. The core strength of this thriller is rooted in Jake Gyllenhaal's superb performance restricted within the confinements of the call center. Identity. As a neo-noir thriller presented through a dark and gloomy tone, Identity flips through the traditional whodunit plot device on its head, loosely derived from Agatha Christie's historically significant 1939 mystery, And Then There Were None. 10 strangers find themselves stranded at a remote Nevada motel, where a mysterious killer offs each guest, one by one.
Like what? My birthday next week.
Me too.
Me too. Yeah.
Intercuts of a parallel timeline throughout the story also depicts a mass murderer awaiting the verdict on a trial, determining its fate. For a film released nearly 2 decades ago, the narrative storytelling takes a daring approach in creating an original take on a classic premise, and the first 2 acts of the plot effectively set up a shocking conclusion. That's it, guys. If you like this video, kindly give it a thumbs up, and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.